Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to do a quarterly review for the quarter ending Q3 2021. We're looking at the quarterly chart of the QQQ. First thing I want to point out, we have an obvious doji-esque, pseudo-doji, whatever you want to call it, on lower momentum here. We're looking at my Thinkorswim platform. But yeah, we have the 13.9 coming in again. We still closed above the top of the Bollinger Band. That is important. 357.96, 356.58. So $1. But I do want to just take a look at a few quarterly charts, and this is how I have to do that. Here we have a doji on the dot. Kind of saw that one coming, but still above top of Bollinger Band. Quarter 6, using the TD as an indicator, we could go back. Let's do max available and see. Yeah, beautiful. Go back to 1994, and you can see a big old ABC right here, and then a wave higher. And honestly, this doji here is a bit ominous. If you look back, you had some here and you kept going higher, but that was about it. You had to go sideways for a year back in this period. This doji marked the top. This doji pretty much marked the top. This doji pretty much marked the top. These dojis did not. And when you're on candle 6 of the TD and you're still above the top of the Bollinger Band, there's, you can kind of give it time to work. But SPY, doji on the quarterly. Let's take a look at IWM. Not a doji, but distribution. Closed back inside the Bollinger Band. Broke last quarter's low. So as you can tell, she's leading the market lower. The other markets, SPY and QQQ, are topping. IWM topped back in Q1. And that's becoming very obvious. And what will happen is either A, this market will continue to go lower, or B, she will now start to go higher. And as a result, Qs and SPY will consolidate a little bit, and IWM will continue to just go sideways. As the other indexes set lower lows and things like that. So best case scenario, you get some type of overperformance to the downside, meaning they go down just a little bit less relative to QQQ and SPY. And the last one is SMH on the quarterly that we want to look at. We have kind of the same look here. Obviously declining red volume. Going back, it's like every fifth or so quarter, there's some distribution, and clearly they were distributing. We do have still a close, 256, the close is 256 and .27. So still on the top end of the Bollinger Band. The bands are expanding, so you can see the last few years, the last few quarters, and going back the last 2 years, you have a very, very strong sustained uptrend. But you do have momentum coming back in. You broke last month's high and closed inside. Not the end of the world. So those were the quarterly charts I wanted to focus on. Now we'll dig into the daily charts for each of these. Daily, weekly, monthly, because we do have a monthly close as well. Taking a look here, you've got 218.63, the close 218.72. So still closing monthly above SMA 10. 3 months now just sitting at it. I don't really like that look. This is the look you want to see, right? Capture, pull back, go, pull back, go, pull back, go. Lost, right? And when it's lost, you go to the next one down and you stair step down based on the fibs and moving averages. So IWM, still all within this one big doji candle. And momentum, as you can see here, has been pulling back the entire month. And what may have to happen here is momentum might have to go negative. We'll see if this series of weekly contracting range here, if this gives, then you will see a waterfall decline. There's just no two ways around it. There's too much energy built up here that breaking below 213, breaking below these weekly higher lows that you've been building now, as if this is a lower high and they close, we'll have to see how they close the week, but right now we're below all the moving averages again. We've diminished all of these moving averages. The distance between the moving averages is basically zero, and the slope of all of them is also zero. So there's really just no meaning to them. So you have to look at the structure. What I see when I look at structure here is that this little correction here to me looked like an ABC. This looked impulsive up, brand new all-time high. This is the high. The high came in March. So if that's what we're looking at here, I do see a regular flat that we could do, and that's the most obvious correction that I can see. We can also continue this and say that's an ABC up, right? So A, B, C, D, and now we have this, which will be your E. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And just to give it one more time here. And what you will end up getting is a triangle. And you're coiled real tight. You do have this ABC nature. When you start to get that, you can use the fib extension tool to start giving you some projections. 218.02 is the first spot technically could conclude, keeping this range really tight. You could also break this higher low and configure this zigzag look, come down to the 1 or the 208 level. All of these would be buys, completing the triangle. From there you should find impulsive buyers. Ultimately what that would do is it would reset the PPO to negative, definitively lose any significance of the 40, and in my opinion what would have to happen would be massive buying coming out of this pivot low here, the 209.05. You would want to hold that pivot low, and if they could hold the 209, they could still break 210.68, which may or may not happen, but ideally they hold 210.68 and even 214.22. At this point though, I do believe that we have to see this pattern complete before we see any momentum return to this sector. And what that likely means is she's not going anywhere. She'll probably come down here, then come back up here, then come down here, before they decide to reveal what direction they'll go. And if you look at the PPO, it's coiled super tight. So I'm going to use this as a clue to tell me if I need to be exiting my positions here and here. Basically the 210s that I bought. We'll have to just let that one play out. We're going to look at SPY daily as well. You can see the PPO just accelerating to the downside. This is a really, really strong trend right now. We're below all the moving averages. All the trend lines are gone. The channel that we have been watching, this channel right here, dead. So what ends up happening is that becomes the profit target. So at minimum, we're looking at 415. Another way to look at the profit target would be to just take the low down here, 404. So this is where we're going. There's just no other way around it. I don't own any SPY. The SPY related assets that I watch are DHR. You can see the correlation. Even EMPH, but DHR is the one that I'm watching mostly here for just a low relative to this high as a way to play SPY. They're just heavily correlated, and getting the sell here was exactly what you needed to do to get out. Now we've seen momentum reset to the negative and weekly reset to the 20, which is where I'll be looking to buy some of that. So we're not at my level yet on SPY, but I'm telling you the 200's coming. If you look around, same thing here. We did hit a level to buy today. This is the first area to take a stab. It would set up a higher low in the momentum, but as you can see with the histogram, we are reaching a new high, a new extreme. So this momentum is increasing, and what you have to do is ask yourself, what type of gap is this right here? You have a lot of volume, an acceleration away from this range, and if you just look at like this whole range, here down, we certainly accelerated away from the top side. All this resistance that had built up here at the 368, 365, that was just trap longs the whole time. And now we're accelerating lower. They did hit the trend, so we'll see what happens. I do like, somewhere between the 50, 100, and the 200 moving average, you might find demand. We'll have to see what happens, but this is the real problem. We're pretty much at the point of no return. The good night Irene, but whatever you want to call it, right? Here's the 20, we're below it. Here's the bearish momentum divergence. Here's an increase in histogram. You can see there's obviously bearish momentum that's coming in big time. I don't see this stopping. It looks like this. This is what it looks like to me. All right, so maybe we get something like this, a flash up down here, and sometime in December we end this correction. Maybe tomorrow on Friday they put in a big lower wick and close near where she opened. Around 368 to 370, putting in a doji. Right now, we have a bearish engulfing candle in pretty much every single time frame on every single chart. Bearish engulfing for the week. So this is like straight distribution on all these time frames. And what I had called out on my video, I think it was September 22nd, was we were looking for one of three things: either the zigzag, the flat, or a triangle, like we're now having with IWM on the weekly. And what it looks like we got was the zigzag. And so when you get the zigzag, what you really are getting is, when you zoom in, this is a 5-3-5 pattern. So something like right, that would be the symmetry. A is equal to B, and then this big guy would look something like this on the weekly charts. Right, and that's the fractal nature of what we're looking for, the ABC, and this is what we're getting, full stop. All right. Technically, these patterns, the way they work, is anything below this low, 428.86, is a completion, 428.78. So technically it completed, but what we want to see is the symmetry, and you do have the 618 of, for a zigzag, the 618, the 1, the 1, 2, 3, 6. So that would be anywhere here at 428. So technically it could have technically satisfied, and this would be your ABC. And if you look at something like the Qs, you have a very similar setup here where we did kind of satisfy something like this, a zigzag. And if you look at the fibs over here, boom, the 768, 357.26 was hit today, low 357.10, closed right above. So you can see all these sectors are doing something like that. Same thing here, 218.02 for IWM, A, B, C, and this one being the strongest might even put in a higher low. And then SMH is the last one I'm watching. We are seeing acceleration to the downside. This bullish divergence has been broken, so I am looking for full scale liquidation here. If you zoom out to the weekly, right, because that was a daily divergence pattern that broke bear, so you have to zoom out one time frame to the weekly. This is showing you that whatever divergence we had here, where this momentum was waning in the histogram, it's quite obvious. You can see May, it's just kind of like gone up on increasing bull momentum. Now we've got an attack from the bears, and we got to see where they close them. But right now they closed today below the 20, and they're coming right into 250, and that's a strong buy in my opinion. To me, this looks like some ascending triangle or an ending diagonal. We'll just have to see how that one plays out. Certainly this is in play, something like that. I don't see why you need to be too upset. If you buy at the 20, you need to exit when you lose the 20. If you buy at the 40, you need to exit when you lose the 40. So my entry was here. I sold up here, and I never added back, but I will exit the remainder 50% if my stop is hit, which is a break-even stop. I'm currently up 5% on the remainder shares, and took a 20% win up here. But given this separation here now, I'm looking definitely for this to continue lower, and at minimum test the 40 on the weekly. A couple names that I'm very interested in. One being Penn. We certainly have the PPO cross histogram got positive. We did capture the 20 and all of this, and now we're kind of giving it back. I don't like the look of that. The monthly PPO is bear and accelerating towards the zero line. So this could be the problem. We got to be very cautious, is that you could see something like this. And if that's the case, what you would want to see here is something like that. And looking at the fib, you would want to retrace something like 50 to 61%. So you would look for Penn to hit $100 and then sell off again in a very symmetrical move like this. And that's kind of like worst case scenario, what we're looking for on Penn. But what that does is it gives you a rally to about $100. Again, this ascending channel is at risk of breaking down, still above POC, still above this volume shelf, so I don't think there's anything to be too concerned with, and still holding the bullish divergence. We do have a loss of momentum. Losing the 40 here after getting back above is definitely not good. So she's at risk. I'm willing to hold until the 60-65 weekly gap fill, and if they can't rally from there, then I'm willing to exit the position. Another one that's been working very well is Airbnb. I do have signs that we hit the first profit target right here at the 1618, which is the standard profit target for wave 3, right? And we're already starting to pull back, and I think this is what we're likely to get, something like this for Airbnb. So if you were a buyer anywhere back down here, and this is kind of how this symmetry works, is like I'm looking for price to come up here 185 to like 190 before I think the whole move is done. That being said, we did hit like 175, so you can't be greedy. Again, we want to exit when the trend is lost. What we do have here is a PPO cross and a negative histogram, negative momentum coming in. So it's possible that this SMA 20 is lost, but at the same time, we don't need to guess. We have pulled back to the 20 before and gone negative before. I think what we're looking for is more or less a minor rally back up, a 3-wave move on the hourly, boom, 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 before another 4 or 5 down sessions to complete wave 4, as long as she remains above 157.41. As long as she remains above that, that's a valid wave 4, and you can anticipate higher prices. I do believe the place to add is this blue line, which is SMA 40. And if you zoom out to the weekly, you can see the PPO accelerating. This is the first week where she's decelerated after 8 weeks of upside. So nothing wrong there. Normal, healthy pullback to be expected. Still inside this bullish candle, this bullish engulfing. So what that does mean is you have a bullish wedge. And as long as she remains above 159.44, the expectation is they're accumulating shares for another push higher, which is exactly what I'm looking for in, at least a 5-wave move here, something like this. Okay, so I want to bring up Twitter. I do believe we got a sell today. The weekly is really looking quite bad. 59.84 is the line in the sand. Today they came up 3 pennies shy of breaking that. There is no divergence in momentum. Momentum is increasing to the downside, and they are at risk of closing below the 40. Slope of the 40 is up. The distance between the 10 and the 40 is very, very low. This is what I like here. The monthly PPO is still bullish. What could happen, though, and this is definitely possible, is something like that, using the fib extension tool, the 618, somewhere around $55 at minimum, if not a tag of the 20, meaning, there's further downside before she could potentially complete this wave 4, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a very shallow 4 is what we're anticipating, because we had such a aggressive zigzag too. So yeah, Twitter is definitely another name. And one thing I will talk about is Tilray. We do not have a long setup here yet, but it is on my watch. We had another fake buy signal here. One thing I want to point out here is this wick. It looks like a top to me. Has been holding the 20, and then this month closed below. So if this is a trap, then the bulls will come out right away and recapture. And the bullish PPO looks okay to me. The question is, how deep does this have to go? In my opinion, could go all the way to $8. I think there's even a gap down here, 8.26. That being said, we do have a clear triangle coming down, and if this thing is breaking, let's see, something like this. Yeah, that's what we're working with right now. We're in a descending channel, so what you really want to see is above 12.50 and then market buy, something like that, and it would certainly trigger a rally to 16. Until then, I mean, she could be heading to $9, and earnings are next week. So just keep an eye on this one. Definitely not ready yet. Another one I like here is Okta on the weekly. The daily's not exactly there yet, but we're getting there. I do think this ABCDE triangle here could still be in the works. 231 I like. Anything against this blue trend line down here, 227 to 231, somewhere in that range. Let's talk about Bitcoin for a second. So still in this descending channel, I will say we've exhausted a lot of the bears and the bulls. I think both sides are tired. I don't think anyone's really talking about Bitcoin anymore. That being said, we're looking for this momentum, higher low and higher high, to see if that can curl up here. We have seen the histogram kind of die off. We do have this like A, B, C setup. Who knows? I see a 50% retrace. She could keep going. She's still in the descending channel. But if sometime over the weekend she gets above 4,500, she could run real quick to 53, and that would be the trade. Somewhere between, a market buy at 45, looking for 47.50 to 49, somewhere in that range. In best case scenario, 53 to new all-time highs. Weekly at risk of issuing a sell. Still above the 20, which I like. Still above this downtrend. You get back below here. You close the week back below 39K somewhere. That certainly closed the week below 39,500, and it's hard for me to be bullish on this chart anymore. You'd have to zoom out to the monthly and see if there's even an uptrend anymore, and you'd say nope. Pullback has begun. And what we're really looking for on this chart something like this. This would be worst case scenario. Somewhere around the 618 to the 1.0 to the 1236. All of those are possible. I don't think you come down and break the 13,764 level. And again, for that to happen, the Bulls would have to get through, the Bears would have to break through 29,300. I don't see that happening yet. I still see price above SMA 10, grinding higher. I think most people have given up on Bitcoin. I do see a potential divergence here. We got to see what happens. But for anything to be bullish, she needs to escape this descending channel. And that'll do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you have any questions, please check us out on Twitter. Like the video, comment, or hit the subscribe button, and check us out in the next one. See you.